Hello. Shit. How we doing? YouTube is back. It's been a minute. Face isn't as gaunt as it was before. Is a little bit softer, which is very strange to see. But no, I actually wanted to actually not fall off and keep the YouTube going because I do quite enjoy it. But as you would have seen through the last minute or so, today's just going to be a full day of eating, day in the life of me. I'm now deloading, so it would usually be a training day. Today would usually be legs, but I am genuinely fucking smoked, and I am under strict orders from Tim to not train as much as I will probably want to at some point, probably today, to not train till Tuesday because I am absolutely flat out battered. I did take a day off last week, which was actually this session, so I actually haven't done my normal leg session since prep. But it is definitely needed. I haven't had time off the gym since, time off the gym where I've not been in prep since about February. I'm pretty sure. So I do definitely need a few days of just chilling out, not worrying about training, etc. Because my body is absolutely fucking battered. And to be fair, I'm not surprised. I finished prep and then within about 2 days I was deadlifting and doing a leg press, which is probably not the best thing, but it's what I want to do because it's fun. So yeah, I'll run you through throughout the day. Foods, you would have seen my first meal. I keep my first meal as pro-fat. I'm going to try to do that for as long as I can throughout my rest days, just because I kind of sort of like it. And then we go from there. But in terms of an update about why there was no show review for Yorkshire, which I'll go through quite quickly. I'm not going to spend too much time. You would have seen through my Instagram. But essentially, it was the third show of the season. It wasn't the last show in theory. We planned for more shows. In a different sort of reality, I am currently 4 days out from PCA finals, which I still want to do, but I can't because I am a lot heavier than where I need to be to actually be on stage. But it was the right decision. Essentially, for the first two shows, I was in the perfect headspace for me, which is probably not an optimal headspace in the sense of I don't really think too much. I just sort of crack on and take the piss. But then after Midlands, without even realising, I probably put a lot more pressure on myself to do well, and that's not a bad thing. For some people that works well, but for me, I work a lot better when I am not putting that pressure on myself, which I didn't even notice. But then even the day-to-days, I wasn't really enjoying as much. Whenever I'd finish everything I needed to do for the day, I'd have my last meal and then I'd just be chilling in bed or something. I'd forget I'm prepping because everything was done. I'd be like, oh, sound cool, I feel fantastic. But then within those 2 weeks from Midlands to Yorkshire, I didn't really feel like that, and that was a weird sort of tell. Also, sleep, my sleep was perfect throughout prep until the last 2 weeks where that took a hit as well. And that was in the moment I was like, oh well, it's inevitable, but then it probably should have happened before, which essentially all the sort of stress build up led to me not being able to pose pretty well on stage. I can still pose well. My body looked sick, but I couldn't really hold much of my poses. My breathing control was shite. There was obviously a few different sort of factors in there as well as to why the look could have been improved aside from that, but I'm not going to really get too much into that. It doesn't really sort of matter. But aside the peak was good. I looked mint morning of the show, but again, just me putting a bit too much pressure on myself took away. And then me and Tim had a chat and thought objectively, are we going to sort this head out for the Two Bros show in 6 days after? Probably not. So we were going to right, let's leave that. And then we're also as much as I can be objective and think, right, I need to not get into that same headspace for finals to bring a better look. When you're in a prep, you never really know how things are going to change. Your head changes every 10 minutes, your head changes every hour, and you don't know how much of those things are going to go right, how much those things are going to go wrong. And we just thought it would be better to just leave prep where it's still got a very positive taste in it, because it was genuinely fucking brilliant. I can't really ask for more, aside from a gold trophy. But for the most part, I can't really ask for more. Like, I was gassed with how I looked at pretty much every single show, even Yorkshire to a certain extent. But no, like, I can't really ask for more. Like, it was everything I wanted to do, and more. Like, I looked really good. I was really happy. I enjoyed it, and there was no point to push on. And then, like, yes, I wanted to do British finals, and am I going to be a bit like gutted if there's people who I've like beat in the British finals who end up getting a really good placing? Yeah, but then long term, is it going to make a massive difference? No. So I understand like the reasons why. Then also, like, right now, as you would have seen, I am rebounding. I wouldn't be able to rebound after finals, if that makes sense. So I would have been on cycle for too long. Whereas now we have a time frame where we can actually rebound quite effectively, and we have done already. We've still got another, like, say, 3-4 weeks of the rebound as well. So I'm genuinely really excited to see what's going to happen there. Then we're going to enter into a health phase for probably the remainder of the year, and then 2025 day one off-season blast goes in. I don't know if that's actually going to happen, but it might do. But yeah, that's essentially why there was no show review for Yorkshire, because I wanted to sort of give myself a bit more of a better head to maybe chat about it, if that makes sense. But no, aside from that, that'll be the intro. You would have seen I've done my check-ins for the morning. I have had my first meal, had my Hydro Flow, Josh 10. Aside from that, all I need to do now is actually go through my WhatsApps, get back to all training clips. I've got cardio to do, which I'm still going to do every single day. We initially put it in at 2 30-minute sessions a week. I wanted that bumped up to 5. Tim was like, that's fine, crack on. I now just pretty much do it every day. If I feel absolutely battered after legs, I won't do it. But for the most part, it's going to be every day. I'm still going to do it every single day during this deload, because I like the routine of it. But yeah, I'll probably catch you. I'm not going to take you to the gym. I've said this in like the first video that was on the channel. I'm not going to go to the gym and put my phone up against something and film me getting on the Stairmaster and shit like that. No, I'm too fucking socially awkward. That's not fucking happening. But I'm now going to go and walk to the gym and do my cardio. When I get back, I'll be having my second meal, which is chicken, rice, veg, etc, etc. I can actually stomach rice now, which is fucking sick, because I like rice, it's quite nice. But in prep I fucking couldn't, and I don't know why I can't do it in prep. Especially, it's not even prep, it's just the latter end. And the second that I've got a bit more food and I'm not prepping, I can actually stomach it. It's a bit weird, but we move. So I'll basically run you through each meal. I'm not going to show you me cooking every single meal, because no one really gives a shit. I thought it'd be quite cool to just do for the intro. So yeah, and then I also run through like macros, etc., how everything is sort of at the moment when it comes to train day food, non-train day food, sessions, maybe, PDs, the fun stuff, and all targets and shit like that. So sit back, enjoy, or don't, and I'll probably catch you in the next like 2 hours or so in the next 2 hours or so for my next meal. Right, we are back for meal 2. Which is now the first meal with carbs in on a rest day. I have 6 meals on a rest day. I don't know why. I've just never really played around with anything different than 5 meals, so I thought I'd play around with it, see how my digestion is with more feedings throughout the day. So literally first meal is, I don't actually know off the top of my head. Where are my sheets? There we go. I'll go through like basically every single meal that I have, and I'll just chat about something different in terms of like where things are, instead of just doing one big long update, because people probably get a bit bold. So this meal is 140 gram of beef mince, 80 grams of uncooked rice, 100 grams of green beans, which was like pretty much a staple throughout prep until my stomach stopped being able to stomach rice. It's really weird. Like when I was having rice, when I was like really lean towards the back end of prep, like I'd be able to digest it well, but then my face would like inflate, almost if I was like spilled. I didn't actually spill. So basically, but by the next meal, if my face is really fat, I haven't eaten off plan, I've just had rice. It's basically like a parachute for me being able to just eat off plan and binge. There's nothing actually wrong with it. But no. So since prep has finished, my thought process is still very much like treating it like a prep. Obviously, I want to incorporate more flexibility. I want to socialize, go out for food with family, friends, etc. But this is something I'll say to anyone: is stick to your fucking plan, because the more that you stick to your plan, the more that you're going to return to a homeostasis. The more you're going to be able to return to a baseline, and then be able to bring your baseline food up higher. And as a result of that, I'm now at 4,000 calories on a training day, 3,600 calories on a non-training day, and my rest day, let's say carbohydrates, is actually higher than where it was peak off season last year already. And that's, I don't want to blow smoke and sound like I'm fucking the best person in the world, because I'm definitely not. But it's a case where I was like, right, well, my baseline diet is going to be what's getting my training into a better spot. And then it's also going to be what's the most consistent, so it's going to be making me feel more normal quicker. So that's pretty much what I've done. I've had like 2 off plans since prep ended, but just making sure that I'm not being like really like a bell end with it, pretty much. So yeah, that's sort of like how I've tailored things. Like we started off, I think 450 carb on a training day. They're now at 590. And everything's just in a pretty good groove. Hunger is still high. Like I actually think hunger probably heightens after a prep, because you're thinking, oh, I can have so much more flexibility, I can do whatever. And yeah, you can, kind of, but then you also are very, very responsive to food. So therefore, you still need to be treating it like a prep. If you have an off-plan food, take away a meal. If it's a big off-plan meal, take away 2 meals. And also just don't be an absolute fucking idiot when you go for food. So the last thing you want is a massive spike in body weight, and then you just put on loads of body fat really quickly. You want to be able to reverse properly, and not be a twat, really. So yeah, I'm going to get this in. My work is pretty much all done for the day, which is quite nice. So for the rest of the day, I'm going to chill out. Probably watch people who are competing and be jealous of them. But no, then aside from that, literally all I've got really planned in for the rest of the days, I need to get a sunbed, because if you can't tell, I'm really fucking pale. I've got a consult call at around 6ish, and then me and Sam are recording for the podcast tonight with his client, Josh Connolly, who is just finished his prep and just turned PC Pro. So that's going to be a very, very good episode. So stay tuned, give that a watch, because it'll probably be up roughly the same sort of time which this is up, which will be cool. But I actually need to get this in, and then I'll catch you a little bit later on I'll probably be cooking my 4th meal when I have my 3rd meal around there, or 5th meal, I can't really remember. Basically, one of the meals I'm probably not going to be able to show you me sat down eating, so I do apologise for all those 2 people who are really looking forward to that, because I'm probably going to be eating it when I'm doing the podcast. So yeah, aside from that, all good. Catch you in a bit. Right, we are back with, and to be fair, I don't always have this meal on a rest day. I just thought it'd be quite cool to actually put it in. No one cares, because it was pretty much all that we were carb loading on during prep, which is fucking lovely. It's nice meal, but it's a fucking ball ache to make. 4 bagel thins, 15 grams dark chocolate, and some fruit, which is 150 grams of strawberries. Before I get into this, what I'm actually going to now run through is essentially what we're doing when it comes to PDs. PDs have been escalated twice, I'm pretty sure. Well, obviously changed around to remove more toxic compounds, for example, Tren and likewise orals, to go about a bit more of a healthier sort of way, for the last few weeks of essentially my blast. So what we started off with, if I can grab it on here, it should say, is it there? When did it change? I still have no idea how to use Tim sheets. It started off 500 milligrams of testosterone, 800 milligrams of mastron, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, so that was what we essentially started on, was it? Yeah, that was geez, I'm generally going fucking mental. This is how my brain works, or doesn't work really. Fuck, yes, it was. So started off on 1,300 milligrams total, which is 500 milligrams of test and 800 milligrams of Mastron. We ran that for the first 2 weeks, and then Monday, so 2 days ago, we had a 100 milligram increment, which was 50 milligrams of testosterone and then 50 milligrams of DHT derivatives. However, what we then did was pull down Mastron by 50 and then introduce Primo at 100, because I just basically got some Primo and we thought, why not? So essentially we're going to be escalated one more time in this sort of rebound to 1,500 milligrams total, which will be matching my total androgen load, including orals from prep. For probably about the last 2 weeks of this sort of rebound push. We've still got thyroid and Clen in. Thyroid is still at a replacement dose, and then likewise Clen was at 60, being brought down from 100. No, it was 60 during prep when we were kind of done with fat loss. Then it was 40. Yeah, it was 40, and now it's been brought down to 20. And thyroid's at replacement dose. Nova Rapids now in pre and post workout on a training day, and injectable L-carnitine is still in, but is now in a pre-workout setting as opposed to fasted setting with my lipolytics. Aside from that, still all health supplementation. Telmisartan still at 80 milligrams. Metformin is in, but mine's on order, so I don't actually have it at the moment, so I'm gonna die. I'm not. Everything else is still in as usual. Organ Defense, take it all year round. I may as well get it. Organ Defense, 3 caps every single day to support my liver, my heart, and my kidneys, and basically make me live forever. Josh 10, if you are also someone who needs that sort of support. So yeah, that's where PDs are at. The next update, I will probably go through food targets, expenditure, things like that, and then I have a little bit of a chat later on with like my last meal. The cream of rice meal I have made, it's just 100 grams of cream of rice, 40 grams of whey, 15 grams of dark chocolate, and some fruit. But I'm not going to show you that because, as I said earlier, I'll be eating it probably when I'm doing the podcast, because I'm doing the podcast with Sam and Josh, so they'll probably just be rambling about their prep. I'll just be chilling in the background, eating my cream of rice. I'm actually quite excited for that. So yeah, next meal will be in about 2.5 hours or so. Hopefully by then I would have been for a sunbed, so I might actually be nice and actually not pale. If you can't tell, by the way, for one of the shows there was no like Vaseline shit, so my nails are a disgusting orange colour, probably for the rest of the year, which is pretty shit, and it's quite minging, to be honest. But we move. Right, so I'm actually back from the sunbed. Believe it or not, I did get one. Not too sure if you can tell. I don't think my melatonin actually works. I'm also out of it, so I need to get some more. Been using a nasal tanner for pretty much like this year because I'm way too lazy to actually use the injectable version. However, that did actually work, so that's going on the shopping list. Whenever I'm not ordering just melatonin and backwater on its own, because I feel like that's just a fucking waste of time. So when I actually need some bits, that's getting ordered, but until then I've got none left anyway, even if it's the fucking nasal one, so I might have to just be pale. But yeah, no one asked. So next meal, which I've basically done, I just need to actually put the bagels into the fucking toaster. Probably need to stop swearing as well, not that anyone cares. And then put my chicken into the microwave, and that's done. Bit of a tip for anyone who has almond butter. I spoke about this on like a full day of eating when it was actually a refeeding prep, and I was being really cool and hiding my prep. It's a fucking ball ache that peanut butter has like the squeezy version and almond butter doesn't. So what I've done is I not emptied, but there was a bit of squeezy jam still left in this. Just took it out when I was in prep. Basically just ate it all. That's not even funny. But then essentially just replaced it with almond butter, and now you can fucking squeeze almond butter into it. How the fuck I'm not a millionaire from that idea, I have no idea. But yeah, 3 bagel fins, it will soon become just normal bagels, probably in the next food bump up, because I'm already way too lazy. And it pisses me off having to toast more than once, because my toaster has 4 slots. This would need 6. I know you can put just in it like that, but I can't be bothered, so I'm probably gonna have just normal bagels soon. Again, no one cares. What I've also done is I've prepared my last 2 meals, kind of. So I've got my curry of rice, which looks absolutely shit. Conte Sports, Josh 10. Maybe don't make it the way that I do when I'm not in prep, because it probably doesn't look the most appetising. I put dark chocolate on it and it's kind of just gone everywhere. It might taste nicer, it probably won't, but that's done. That's gonna go in the fridge. Now I'm gonna have that about 2.5, 3 hours or so from now. I've also got to do a fucking load of steps, and I'm not sure, you won't be able to tell, but it's quite dark in here apart from the lights. It's fucking pissing it down to like 5k steps. Then also my last meal, which is 125 grams of oats with like fruit and shit to go on. I have that about say 9:30, 10 o'clock. But that goes in the fridge, because if you like your cream of rice or your oats hot, you're a bit fucking weird. So I make mine like a fair few hours beforehand, and then put it in the fridge. Then put everything else on it that I need to. But yeah, I'm not going to film anything more of like me eating this, because essentially I've got a bit of work to do, and then I've got a consult in about 50 minutes. And then after that I've got the podcast, which is a nice end to the day, because it's going to be quite fun. The benefits of online coaching is that you never really know how busy you're going to be at certain points in the day. So like my afternoon so far has been relatively unbusy, which is quite nice when you're deloading to actually take some time to just chill the fuck out. But then you have a massive load of work come through, in the sense of apparently every client has training clips to send right now. And yes, I could just leave it till tomorrow, but I also don't like going to bed with a full WhatsApp. So I'm just really good coach basically. And also it's an OCD thing. And then tomorrow I'll just stress even more. But yeah, so in terms of macros for a rest day, I'm going to try and remember it is 485 carb, 65 fat, 265, 275 protein, I'm pretty sure. It's like 3,600 calories. The totals will be like up here. And then for a training day is 590 carb, 60 fat, 285 protein, so just over 4,000. I'm pretty sure that's right as well. I will do a full day of eating for a training day at some point when I'm back in the gym, so like maybe like next week or so, just to sort of set off the off-season sort of videos with like full days of eating, because full days of eating, Jesus Christ, I can't talk, because everyone likes watching them. And then I'll start hopefully getting some mics and just filming some training bits, because by then my training will probably be good and respectable numbers wise, because at the moment it's really not. So yeah, in a couple of weeks should be back to some somewhat respectable numbers. And then also Ethan finishes prep Saturday or Sunday. He's in Denmark at the moment. By the time this video goes out, he probably would have already finished his prep. But hopefully I can get back into gym with someone who trains moderately well, and I can train with them consistently, because in Cardiff there is a very select few people who I enjoy training with. Hence the reason which any video of me training with people has always been outside of Cardiff. The benefits of Welsh bodybuilders is that there's no benefits, because most of them train like shit. So yeah, hopefully Ethan finishes prep and doesn't do any more shows. And then I can jump back into 5-hour training sessions, and then just asking him to watch my last warm-up of every single moderately difficult compound movement that I do, even though I know that I'm going to go heavier, and he's going to tell me not to. So yeah, that'll be fun. But aside from that, I'm going to warm that and that up, cook that, put that on, scram, crack on with work, and then I'll be back after the podcast when I've hopefully done my steps and the rain stopped. And then I can just chill out for the rest of the evening, even though by then it'll be like 9:30, 10. I'll be having that and then going to bed. So I actually do need to get back into a normal sort of sleep routine. I actually managed to sleep until 7:30 this morning, which is a PR for me, because usually I'm up at like 4:35 on a good day. So yeah, at least sleep's getting back into a sort of better routine. But yeah, I'll leave it there for now, and then what I'll do later is maybe chat about off season, etc. If I'm actually gonna stay in off season for longer than 10 months, not even 10 months, like 6 months this time. And then sort of what I want to do over the next couple of years or so. Not years or so, I don't even think a day in advance. I can think about the next year maybe. So we'll run through that. And then here we are, last meal, which is oats, 125 gram, 40 gram whey, 15 gram almond butter, and then strawberries and raspberries, etc., etc. And basically, just like there's a fruit mix which I get from Tesco, and I just whack that on. It's actually pretty nice. And this has been like an off-season sort of staple meal, at least the first half of an off-season, until my appetite goes to absolute shit. And then it just becomes cream of rice. So for now, it's staying as oats because it's quite nice. But yeah, that basically wraps up today's full day of eating. I did have cream of rice. I didn't make it very well. But I had to have that in between like podcasts, etc. I didn't really have much time to film. I probably did, but I didn't because I was just being lazy. But yeah, that essentially wraps up the full day of eating, so hopefully you enjoyed. What I want to sort of end it on is my sort of plans for competing, etc. Ideally, I actually do want to take 2 years out, because the next time on stage, I want to be towards the higher end of amateurs within classic, still at a relatively young age, which is quite exciting, but it's also quite daunting. I want to put that sort of pressure on myself, that I want to be at that level at the age of either 23 or 24, so that'd be 2026, either early or late, I'm not too sure. I'm basically targeting either PCA Universe 2026 or PCA British Finals 2026. Also in that season, want to be going down the NPC route, and ideally picking up some class wins, seeing how we do in overalls. And that's the sort of goal, really. And then from there, we'll be assessing how much more is needed for going full in to classic NPC route. But again, we'll just sort of assess and see. Like, I think a lot of people, when they take like a year out and have like a 2-year sort of, well, 18 months sort of off season, they don't really put that pressure on themselves because they're thinking, well, I've got loads of time. But if you view it as, okay, I've only got if you were to think I'm competing next year, you're probably going to take that time a lot more seriously because you haven't got as much. But if you take the whole 18 months or 2 years that you have off as seriously as if you've got 6 months to improve, then you're going to improve a whole lot fucking more. So that's going to be the sort of plan. I'm not going to bullshit and say there's absolutely 0% chance of me prepping next year, because that's exactly what I said last year. But it's just very, very unlikely. Like, everything would have to be at a point where I'm like, Jesus Christ, I've made even more improvements than I did from last year to this year. And again, realistically, for my life to go tits up and I actually need to prep, because funny enough, that's somehow how my life gets sorted out, is just by making it worse. So yeah, like, most likely will not be on stage next year, but I'm also not going to say I'm not going to be on stage next year. So we'll see. Maybe me and Tim do like a pre-prep diet next year, and we're 5 to 6 weeks out from the shows at the back end of the year, which aren't too far away from finals, and we're like, oh, let's just fucking do it. Who knows? But most likely will be 2026. But yeah, aside from that, everything is in a good groove. Currently around 2.5 weeks into this rebound phase. I'd be lying if I said I wish I wasn't doing finals, because I still want to be doing them. But for the right reasons, I'm not. And that's, again, something which I'm not going to delve into too much, but I'm going to be, like, honest in the sense of, like, my head wasn't in the best sort of position. I put a lot of pressure on myself at the best of times to be 100% on absolutely everything. But then sometimes I'll almost portray that as if I'm putting no pressure on myself, because I think sometimes if I almost pretend I'm taking a back seat, even to myself, I probably do a lot better. But within the time frame, as I spoke about before, between Midlands and Yorkshire, I started almost acting like a proper bodybuilder, in the sense of, like, I took things incredibly literate. Everything had to be on the money. Everything had to be to the exact second, which just increased a lot of stress. Obviously, there was people who know me a bit more personally might also know that obviously there was a lot of external stresses going into the prep. and I kind of used the prep to almost just cover it and push it to the side. And I was like, I'll deal with it later. I'll deal with it after prep. And those sort of stresses in a certain way sort of started to play a factor again. So it wasn't a case where I was just creating the stress. That stress was just naturally coming back, which is absolutely fine. But again, knowing that, okay, I can't control that, but with those stresses in play, is it probably the right thing to do is continue prepping and put your body under more stress when it's not 100% essential? No. So that's essentially why prep was called. And I'm absolutely sound with that. So yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed, and hopefully you've enjoyed actually me being honest and me being actually like a bit of a human for once and admitting where things are currently at. So yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed. I'm not going to slack. I will try and get a video up at least every week or so. I'm good. Let's say a week. Every week to 2 weeks, I'll try and get them up. Whether that's full days of meetings, whether that's training, whether that's whatever. When I'm actually peak off season and I'm not as responsive to food, I will do a calorie challenge just because I feel like everyone wants to see that. People like that sort of shit, but I'm actually going to be smart and not do it right now because I probably could do 20k piss easy and I probably would put on around 30 pounds. So I'm not going to do that. But aside from that, I hope you've all enjoyed. If you did, like, share, tag me on your stories, and say how fucking fantastic and brilliant I am and handsome. That'd be greatly appreciated. But I'll leave it there. Like I said, any questions or anything like that, drop them down below or DM me on Instagram. Bye-bye.